Okay. Remember that movie line from the original movie Independence Day? It says, 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday. In other words, it'll be global. Yeah, I know 4th of July is an American holiday. Let's talk about some liberties when it comes to taking photography. And man, this really pisses me off. I mean, it just burns my fanny, and this is where I get furious. Look, I'm neither a liberal or a conservative. I'm both and neither. I know some people call me a hardcore liberal. Some people call me a hardcore conservative. I mean, I'm neither one. Let's talk about where you can and can't take photographs. By the way, I've got a link below written up by an attorney about your photography rights. There's a lot of people, and I've experienced this so many times. I used to do some photojournalistic work as well, and people, they'll block their hands up in public. If they want to do that, that's fine. They have no right to privacy in public. Members of the public have extremely limited scope of privacy. Public figures, celebrities, these people have no right to privacy. Some of these people will actually scream and cry havoc because you're taking pictures. Like, I was taking pictures of actually a person in public at an art fair last year. And some screwball chick thought I was taking pictures, and she had the worst paintings I've ever seen in my life. She actually thought I was taking... She demanded my... I said, are you kidding me? Just have these people, contact the police, whatever they want, and then you'll sue them for damages, and you can sue their... Just say, go ahead, honey, go ahead and do it. Do it. You don't... this is the United States of America. You can kiss my crack. If I can see it with my eyeballs outside of a military installation, or like a couple hours from here, there's Fort Knox, where they store all the gold. They've erected further barriers and whatnot, but even though you can kind of pull up there and take a look at it with your eyeballs, they'll basically arrest your butt if you take a picture of it. And there are reasons for that. That's understandable. But people are trying to block pictures from me in public. I've got one thing. Let's say, this you. Yeah, this you. Okay, this you. You see signs like this in places. Use of cameras and video equipment is prohibited, or no photography permitted here, or no cameras. A lot of museums are this way. I was actually wanted to visit some museums in Orlando, and back in the old days of flash photography, people don't understand, too, and they seriously damn well don't understand. They confuse photography. This is where most people are brain-dead retards. They confuse photography with publishing. I'll tell them I'll take a picture of it. Now, you can later come back at me if I publish something that is copyrighted or, painting one. Photography is not the same thing as publishing. You think these people that would understand? They forget that preventing publishing is censorship, and it's a totally illegal act here in the United States. And you think that they'd be proud that censorship is illegal here in the United States, but no. I've got some really bad news for the liberals out there. See, liberal you think means liberty, but connotation is not denotation. I've got some really bad news for you. Kind of like this red-headed fascist Nazi sleazebag I'm about to show you a picture of. She's kind of become famous for becoming the epitome of fascist Nazi sleazebags. People, I hate to tell you this, and there have been polls done on this, but 90% of the people that have a pissy fit and get their panties in a wad over you taking pictures of them or of things in public are hardcore liberals by their own definition. Like I said, I'm not a conservative or a liberal. I'm both and neither. But this is a case that people, 90% of the people, it's actually a little higher than that have a hissy fit in public of you taking pictures of stuff. Like, it's a public area and there's like something going on, you take a picture, they have a hissy fit. It's over 90% actually. They're hardcore left-wingers and liberals by their own definition. So ironically, those who claim and championship liberalism are the most, shut you down, fascist, libtard. I'm not going to show the picture of this ugly, red-headed Nazi scumbag, but just type in, we need some muscle over. There's a photojournalist, there's a young guy with a camera, And I'm going to show you a picture of this this stupid, idiot of a woman. It has nothing to do with her being a woman. She is a hardcore fascist scumbag. Just type in on YouTube or Google, "We need some muscle over here." Thankfully, she lost her job. So she's fired now. Now she's suing the university for unemployment. She's a hardcore liberal, too. Hardcore by her own definition. She was actually, as a guy taking pictures of a public event, protest rally. I think it was BLM. And she's like, "You can't take pictures here." And she starts shaking her fingers, and she said, "We need some muscle over here." And she actually was intimidating this photographer that she was going to have a bunch of people come over and beat the crap out of him. So, the one place here, I don't know what country you live in, but let me tell you a fact about some hardcore liberal BS here in America. And this is undeniable. I don't give a damn if you agree with this. Is undeniable. All these places where you think college would be a bastion of free thinking. Look, I spent many years in college. College is not a bastion of free thinking. You have more hubris and more censorship that goes on in these supposed places of learning. Places of learning should be the place where free speech is the most prominent, and like the rights for photography. Absolutely just not the case. There are all these colleges up in the northeast of the United States that put out these like free speech zones. It's like, in other words, you're living in a fascist hellhole if you're on this campus, unless you're like inside this 10-foot by 10-foot. You can actually find pictures of these on college campuses, and the same goes for photography. These little zoned areas where you can actually, you have the freedom of speech. Because la 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 la, if you're a sensitive little douchebag, you don't want your sensibility, In college, you're supposed to have an open mind. At least back when I was in college, we didn't have free speech zone crap. So that sort of fascism doesn't fly. And here's another undeniable fact. Like I said, I'm neither liberal nor am I conservative. So you think I'm attacking on liberals, and I'm not. But here's a hardcore fact. All of these college campuses like Stanford, Harvard, all these, Princeton is really, really bad. They are run almost 100% by liberals. 100%, just right underneath 100%. And these people put up these, you can't say what you want, no photography allowed, no free speech allowed. This is the United States, God forbid it's another country. So, the great irony here in the United States that the people that are supposed to be most for liberties, i.e. liberalism, these are the people that actually put up the no photography signs, the no free speech zones in college campuses. You're supposed to be learning stuff at college. You're not supposed to be a brain-dead lemming. It's like, la, 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 I don't like to hear that because it isn't what I want to hear. La, 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 la. We got a generation of puss bags. They're called millennials here in the United States. But anyway, getting back to photography. You ought to see the video. If you've not seen it and you're outside of the country, it was huge news here in the United States. And conservatives she's like the poster child for conservatives for like left-wing libtard douchebagism. And, there's a guy just taking some pictures. He's just like an innocent dude. He's taking pictures. We need some muscle. This crazy broad comes over, and she threatens to have all these people beat the crap out of her. All he's doing is taking pictures. And thank God, this woman got so much hate as she deserved it. From above, it's like, you got to fire this broad. They told the college, there's a lot of news you can find on this, they threatened to cut off a lot of the funding to this college, I forget which college it is, if they didn't fire this broad. Thankfully, after a bunch of motions and whatnot, the college, cut her off, and so she's fired. Now she's actually suing for unemployment benefits, saying she was illegally fired. You can't pull that kind of crap, especially here in the United States. It's like, hey, you're taking pictures, I'm going to have a bunch of people come over here and beat the shit out of you. People like that, I'm sorry, I'm giving the middle finger if you don't like this. People like that, F you, screw you. People like that burn my ass up. I'm pretty sure that, like hundreds of thousands of people died back in World War II to fight fascism. So the whole notion that I can't take a picture of something that unless it's a military installation, there are laws against that. You check out the link below on your rights and you have as a photographer. But if I can see it with my own eyes, I'm going to take a picture of it. If you don't like it, you can kiss my ass. You know, why don't you call the cops and have them come out here and say, "Hi, I'm a fascist douchebag, and this asshole was taking pictures of stuff," and what are the cops gonna do? Have them do that, make a documentation of it, then to sue the other guy. It's like, I'm sorry you don't know this, but this is supposed to be the land of liberty and freedom, and we don't have censorship here. And if I could see it with my eyeballs, I'm going to take a picture of it. If you don't like it, you can kiss my ass. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I can see it with my eyeballs. That's a military installation, or. See, photography is not publishing. It's like, well, you can't take a picture of that. Yeah, I can take a picture of that. I may not be able to publish a picture of that, but I damn well can take a picture of that. Yeah, when I was in Orlando, I wanted to visit a couple of these museums, and they weren't like fine works of art. A lot of them were sculptures and stuff. You don't got to ruin a sculpture by taking a picture of it, especially if it's not a flash. And they said, no, you can't take pictures. So, well, screw you. I'm not going to go there and give you. I would love to visit your museum. And I know all the reasons for no photography museum, so don't anybody tell me about that. But it's like, I'm not going to give you a dime. I would love to visit your museum, but you can. One of them was a museum for a Tiffany glasswork, and I love Tiffany glasswork. And I went, no photography. Well, kiss my ass. I'm not going to give you a dime. I'm not going to show up there. Go jump off a cliff and to hell with you. I'll gladly pay your $15 entry fee. Yeah, if I want to take a picture. No pictures allowed. Great. You're not getting any of my money. Kiss my butt. So, know your photographer's rights. Download, keep it, or memorize it, the information below. And don't let any of these fascist Nazi scumbags tell you can't take a picture of something when you damn well can. And I hate people that do that. There's a lot of foreigners... no attack against foreigners, but they kind of don't know that this is not the land of fascism here in the United States. At least it isn't yet. And I was taking pictures out in public, and some of these foreigners, some of them were Germans. They were waving, no photograph. I was like, I'm sorry, dude. This is the United States of America. I know you're from Deutschland. Look, I'm half German. I'm not making fun of Germans. But this is the United States. You're in public. I'll take a picture of what I want. You can kiss my ass. You got nothing to say about it. Kiss it. Kiss it! You came here to the United States. If I go to Germany, I gotta obey your laws. You came here in the United States to take a vacation, I'll take a picture, whatever the hell I want to take a picture of it. You're in the public, kiss it! Kiss it! You came here, you should know the laws of the United States. Oh, here in America, it is no fascism, there's no censorship, jawohl. You'll understand that when you travel here. I had some of these Germans, and this happened several times, and they weren't all Germans. Like I said, I'm half German, so I'm not dissing on the Germans. All right, for God's sakes. No pictures, no. Yeah, I can take pictures. United States of America, okay? This is not land of der Führer. No fascism is allowed here, no censorship. So know your photographer's rights, and don't let any of these brain-dead mental midgets, these intellectual cockroaches, push you around and tell you can't take pictures of it when you damn well can. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, drop me a buck or two, or a big fat pizza, because I love pizzas, and I have very few pleasures in life. Actually, very, very, very few. So, thanks for watching. Bye.
Oh, this video is going to get a lot of hate.